weekly session 30. And today we have once again, we have invited Nandita. And, some of you know Nandita already, but I'm quickly giving an introduction about Nandita. And she herself is a tennis player. And, she's done a lot of work in different fields. And why I'm introducing her as a tennis player in the beginning is that sports is something that really brings difference in life. And then she got passionate about medicine, understanding about body, understanding about human mind. Then she studied lots of things. She got master. She worked in a university for her research, and her passion has been yoga. So recently Nandita is back from a yoga retreat, and in fact not a retreat, I would call it training session. Am I right, Nandita?
Yeah, it was a teacher training lesson, really how to, teacher training course, really how to teach yoga
Right.
beyond,
Yeah.
and also
And
really understanding it beyond asanas.
absolutely. So it is going to be a different version of Nandita today when we are meeting her, because I'm sure that such intensives make a huge difference in an individual's life. And she's also an expert on various martial arts, more than 8 martial arts that she has studied. Eight, right? Or more than that?
Yeah, eight.
Eight
And then
martial
the ninth
arts,
one would
martial
be
art
whatever
form.
I create based on what I think I've understood.
Whatever, yeah.
I think the ninth martial art would be
Yeah,
what I
sure.
create based, like what I'll probably teach today, which is a combination of yoga and martial arts and kind of like the commonalities between both. Yeah.
Right. Superb. So without spending too much time, I'm going to hand it over to Nandita, and I'll keep jumping in wherever my curious mind will want to trouble Nandita about certain questions. And of course, we'll also have a round of discussion towards the end. Nandita, over to you.
So what I've planned for today is about maybe 15 to 20, maybe little longer session. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover some asanas which are common, what I would say common warm up exercises, but in martial arts, but also common both sukshma vyayama as well as asanas in yoga. And the importance of these is that they work fundamentally on your A, breathing, B, your joints. So we don't realize, but uh, when we uh, when we work out, or if you're going to a gym without really understanding what you're doing with your body, you're focusing on building muscle strength. But very often, what we forget is the foundational strength, which comes from our joints. So what Sukshma Vyayama does, Sukshma means, one meaning is subtle, but A, it warms up your body to do asanas or any kind of movement, and it prevents you from injuries. And next, it actually strengthens you. So if you actually incorporate this in your daily routine, even like 10 minutes a day, you'll actually notice a much greater shift in your overall strength while you're doing asanas or any kind of exercise. So I'll be taking you through a few asanas today, and then asanas and martial arts movements and breathing techniques. And towards the end, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some asanas very specific for diabetes management. So diabetes, blood sugar, and generally, even if you don't have diabetes, like the ones I've picked are excellent for digestion, for just general well-being and hormonal balance. And maybe moving on, if I get an opportunity to do these sessions again, maybe we can move on to more specific asanas for overall digestion, well-being, menstrual cycles, menstrual pains, regularizing hormones, PCOD, PCOS, or just thyroid problems, which I think is kind of an offset of our lifestyle patterns these days. So I think doing these in certain series will definitely have a certain impact on our well-being. So I'm just going to start off. Pick up at whatever pace you want. Pick up at, like, listen to your body. If there's pain at any point, just stop. Stop. Tell me. I will give you a modification. I will try to introduce as many modifications as I can. But if there is pain at any point, do not push your body. You're doing more harm than good. So asana is actually about sthiram sukham asana. It's about being happy and stable in a pose. It is not about hurting your body. Okay. So what I'm actually going to start with is a breathing movement. Now, I want to say simple breathing movement, but in my experience, anything that's Tai Chi or Qigong, or, it seems very simple. It's like, oh, this is an easy, I'm just going to breathe. And these tend to be the hardest movements. So, and that is my dad. Okay. Okay. So we'll start with something called Qigong breathing. And okay. And tell me if at any point you don't see my camera. We're all just trying to make this COVID thing work. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with, let's pretend we have a ball of energy over here. And you can all stand up and do it. And what you're going to start with is you're going to lift one leg and slowly, in a controlled manner, bend the other. Okay, I'll turn this way. Lift one leg and slowly, in a controlled manner, bend the other leg and just place this one down. And breathe out. And shift your weight. Breathe in and lift the ball of energy up. Breathe out and come back to a starting position. Okay. Now, other leg, breathe in. Slowly place your foot out. In. So over here, when you're in this position, if you can go to here, that's fine. If you can go only to here, that's fine. Don't round your back. Keep your back straight. And push. And up. And bring it down. Okay. We'll do this one more time and then we'll add some breathing into this. Okay. Lift. Out. Breathe in. And breathe out. Up. Out. In. And back. Okay. Now if your body feels like it can do this, then let's add the breath into it. Okay. Now we'll do this again, but when we go out, we start breathing from here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and hold it here. Just hold it, hold it, hold it, push the breath down, hold it, and out, 2, 3, 4. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Turn, 2, 3, 4. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Push, 2, 3, 4. Now, in the next cycle, we'll follow the same count. But now when we come down, we're going to go down all the way. So it's going to be hold, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. Okay? So just 2 cycles of this. So, in, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. And inhale. inhale and come up. So this was just to get your body a little warm. Now what we're going to do is come to any comfortable seated position. It can be cross-legged. If you're comfortable sitting on a chair, sit on a chair. As long as you're comfortable in the position, that's what matters. Okay. So in this position now, you're going to take your arms, place them slightly bent, but in line with your shoulders. So make sure they're not like this or like this. They're like here somewhere. Okay. And what we're going to do, the advantage of this is that there's an acupuncture point in the back behind your lungs. So when you actually push this back a little bit, you're activating that acupuncture point, so your breath becomes deeper. And when you breathe in, you're now going to be breathing from your diaphragm and with your lobes. Okay? So breathe in and fill your stomach. Push your stomach out as you breathe in. So in, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. So your stomach is pulled in now. So breathe in, expand your stomach. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. One more time. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. So this was just to get your lungs warmed up. Some of you might notice that when you try to breathe in, your stomach wants to get pulled in, and when you try to breathe out, your stomach might want to get pushed out. It's just we're conditioned to breathe wrongly. If you look at babies, you know, when they're sleeping, like their tummies would be going up and down, up and down. That's how we should be breathing, but we don't do that. So if this is not happening naturally, you can just sit at night and place your hand on your stomach and just consciously breathe in and push your stomach out, and breathe out and push your stomach in. So you can just do that naturally for a few breaths, like for 5 minutes at night every day. Automatically, in like a few days, your breathing will get set to normal. Our hands to the side, like you're pushing a wall. Okay? So there'll be a tendency to go like that or to go like that. Just make sure it's in a straight line. Imagine there's a wall behind you and walls to the side that you're pushing. Okay? So hip width apart. And again, twist. Exhale and twist. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Now from this position, let's widen our legs a little bit. And we're going to sort of, so this movement, we're going to be moving a little up and down, like this much. If you have any kind of knee problem, just stay in the same place and do it wherever you're comfortable. Like you can be standing and just move down this much, that's fine. Do not hurt yourself. Okay. So now we're going to imagine this energy ball again. So come to like a sort of comfortable half squat thing. And imagine an energy ball. And you want to inhale and come up. Exhale and come down. Inhale, come up. Exhale, other hand on top. Inhale. Exhale. So I'm going to show this movement again because it can be tricky if you're looking at it on the camera. So you're here. Let's say your right hand is on top and left hand is below. Okay. So now your left hand will just come down like this. And your right hand is just going to come up like this. Okay. So left hand down and right hand up. Exactly. So left hand down, right hand up, and bring the circle all the way down. Yep. And same thing. Now left hand up, right hand down, and bring it all the way around. Okay, so we're just going to do that. Every time we come down into the circle, we're going to move down. Every time we come up, we're going to move up. Okay, so let's start from here. Inhale. Exhale. Just stay very focused on your breath. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. If your legs are burning, focus on your breath. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale and come to standing. Okay. So now the next thing we're going to do is, so these are both, these are exercises, again, you'll see both in yoga and martial arts. In yoga, this is called Tadasana. So you just again interlock your fingers. As you inhale, take your hands up and come up on your toes. Okay? And as you exhale, hands come down. Okay, so let's do that a few times. Inhale, interlock your fingers and let's get up on our toes. And just breathe in and breathe out over here. Exhale, come down. Inhale, come up. Exhale, come down. Inhale, come up. Exhale, come down. Okay. Now for the next one, we'll be going to be bending forward. Now you would have done the forward toe touch often, right? But I'm going to make a few corrections here. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to go up, but when we come down, we're going to shift our weight slightly to the front and then come down. Because the tendency will be here, when the tendency is to push the butt back and come down. This is wrong. You want to push the weight to the front of the body and then bend. So now the legs stay straight. Now even when you come down, you might think you want to touch your toes. And you might think it's important to touch your toes. It is absolutely not important to touch your toes. Because what will happen if you force yourself to touch your toes is your back will start getting round and it's going to hurt you. So instead of that, just keep your hands aligned here next to your ears and come down straight. If you can't go all the way, that's fine. You can bend your knees and have your stomach touch your thighs. And then you can come back. If you can go all the way, good. Then go all the way and touch your head. If you can't, that's perfectly okay. You can just stay here. The important thing is that your spine stays straight. So all the asanas ever are very, very focused on the spine because the whole purpose is to strengthen a lot of the asanas in the original texts of yoga. The purpose of asana is to be able to stay steady in the asana so that you can be in a calm, steady position, maybe for meditation or relaxation. So if in the process you're hurting yourself, it's not worth it. And the whole purpose of these asanas is to strengthen your spine. So if you're trying to reach your toes and in the process your alignment goes wrong, then all the effort you put in is of absolutely no use. Whereas even if you don't touch your toes, you bend your legs and you touch your stomach to your thighs, you will get the same benefit that you will get if you were touching your toes. So let's try this one more time with correct breathing, and I'll give the instructions, all the checkpoints at each place. Okay. So inhale, hands up. Push your weight to the front of your toes. Exhale and keep chin up. Keep your chin up. So your back will automatically stay straight. Keep your chin up, chin up, chin up. And now if you can't go any further, then bring your hands down. Yeah, if you can touch the floor, that's good. If you can't, over here, bend your knees so that your stomach is touching your thighs and go down. If this is very comfortable, then you can push your legs. And absolutely at the end, you can look down and look at your toes and just stay there. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And now look up, chin up, inhale, come up. Okay. So that's how you do a toe touch correctly. So it's not, I don't think it should be called a toe touch, but that's how you bring your arms forward correctly. Okay. Now the next asana we're going to do is come to a seated position. Actually, no, there's one more, which I think is excellent for diabetes. It's called Trikonasana. Before we go into Trikonasana, we'll do Ardha Kati Chakrasana, which basically means this is also a martial arts warm-up movement. So we'll warm up the side of the body. So you're giving your spine a lateral bend. See, generally we're bending it forward, backward, or twisting it, right? So this time we'll be bending it laterally so it stretches from the sides, and actually all your abdominal organs and your pancreas, your kidneys will all get a good stretch from this asana. Okay? And it's a warm-up for Trikonasana. So we'll do both of these. Okay, so stand with your legs slightly apart. Raise one arm. And as you go down, if you can go till here, go till here. If you can go further, go further. Go as much as you can. The tendency will again be to bend forward. Consciously imagine there's a wall. If there is a wall behind you, do it against a wall. Because see, when you're standing like this and you try to bend, you might go like this or you might go like this. So you want to stay like this. Okay. So just exhale and go down, and let's hold here. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathe in slowly and come back down. Just one small correction. When this arm is down here, this arm or this arm, don't put pressure on the knee. Let this stay loose. Okay? This will also strengthen the back. If you have any kind of lower back pain or you're feeling a pinch in your lower back now that you've tried it, don't proceed. Okay, we do the other side. Inhale and up.
Are you keeping shoulder length distance between your legs here?
Yeah.
Wider. Okay.
Yeah. Shoulder length or hip width, like whatever is comfortable. They're around the same, but yeah. Okay. Inhale, come up. Exhale, go down. You're looking straight, you're not looking up, you're looking straight. Hand is bending. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly breathe in and come down. So basically we warmed our body up right now for Trikonasana. For Trikonasana, again, only if you felt comfortable in this, try this first. Okay? Like put your literally 3 feet, like 3 feet distance. Place this way. So this, I'm just gonna point to my toes for a second. Okay. Yeah. So you're here, turn your leg out and keep 3 feet distance. Okay. So you should feel it in your hip. This is going to be your position. Okay. And from here, stretch your arms out. Look to the right. Push your body forward. Just waist up. Yeah. So legs stay straight. The legs stay straight. From here, all you're doing is pushing your body forward. Okay. So look to the right. push your body and go down. Now here you might notice that you're tending to go like this. So make a conscious effort to keep left hand and right hand in a straight line. If this seems easy, you're doing it wrong. So if it's easy for you, check your alignment. Okay? So you're going down and your head is still facing down. Okay? Check your alignment. If you know it's correct now, then look up and look into your palm. Or at your fingertips, that's fine. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale and look down at your hand. Inhale, come up. Inside. Face your foot close to the front and hands down. Other side. Turn your left foot out. Inhale, arms at shoulder level. Turn your head towards the left side. Exhale, move forward. Inhale here. Exhale, go down. Again, arms in a straight line. You don't want to go forward like this. You want to keep it straight. Imagine there's a wall at the back. So go down. If this is easy, check your alignment. Make sure you're not coming forward like this. Consciously pull your right arm back. You should feel a twist over here. Here, like this. This twist. Okay, so keep looking down. Now, if you feel like you're feeling that stretch on your right hand side and your inner thigh on the left side, then look up and look into your palms. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, look down. Inhale, come up and come back to the For Janu Shirsasana and Pavan Muktasana, Paschimottanasana, few key things to remember. Your legs are straight, knees are straight. You want to activate your legs and pull them behind this way. When you go forward, you're going to stretch your arms up. Again, same principle applies here. The idea is to get your stomach downward. So it's not, if you try to touch your toes or you try to get your forehead to your knees, look at what happens to my back. Okay, so we don't, that's going to hurt you. So you want to keep this straight, go down straight. Okay, and you want to go down. The idea is to get your chin down. If you can, do that. And only at the end, while you're in the position, then you can touch your forehead down. But the idea, even then, try to keep bringing your chin forward. If you can't go down all the way, don't worry, the flexibility comes very fast. Bend your legs a little. Bend your legs a little and touch your chest, touch your stomach to the thighs. It's going to give the same benefit to your back and for the abdominal massage. Okay. So, yeah. And if you can go down, if your stomach is touching but your hands aren't touching, that's also fine. Some people's hands are shorter and that's just normal. Like the idea is to get this to touch, not this to touch. Now I have like weirdly long limbs, so my hands go. Okay, so we'll try that and we'll hold the position for 5 counts. Okay, so inhale, arms up. And as you exhale, bend through your lower back and come forward. Yeah. And let's try and keep our chin looking at the chin up, eyes looking at the toes. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Stretch your hands forward. Inhale and come back towards seated position. Okay. Now the next one is the same thing, but we're going to do it with one leg folded, one leg straight. Okay. Same thing again. Hands up. And go down. And if you can already touch your, if you can already hold your ankles, try to bring your elbows. If you can already hold your ankles, try to bring your elbows down to the floor. And keep looking forward. Try to bring your chin to the knee and look forward. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale and come. Other leg. And even here, if you can't go down, that's fine. You can go down like this. It's giving your abdomen and your back the same advantage. Okay. Inhale. And as you exhale, chin up, go down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale. So I'm just going to do like one count of each. Like in your own time, you can modify this however you want, do it as many times as you want. Okay, so now the next one is, I think, the most important one for diabetes management. So this is our, after this point, we're going to start cooling down. So you're going to sit in Vajrasana. If this is not comfortable, place something underneath and sit like this, whatever works. Okay. If it's comfortable, then that's fine. Okay. You're going to, I can't see everybody on the screen, so just analyze for yourselves where you are at. Okay. Now you're going to place your wrists. So your thumb is going to be inside. You're going to make a wrist like this, and you're going to keep this part, the knuckle, outside. And you're going to place it here next to your navel so that this part kind of pinches here, like it should press into your abdomen if you bend forward. Right. Okay. So let's try that. So arms, hands in a fist, place it next to your navel comfortably. Now only go down as much as is comfortable, okay? Don't fight your body. It should be almost enjoyable, okay? And as you exhale, go down and stay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale and come up. So pancreas are over here. So what this pressing does is it actually stimulates the flow of insulin, and also like the beta, it stimulates the beta cells of the pancreas. So it helps to regulate actually all hormone production from the pancreas, not just insulin. Okay, so there's just one more asana to kind of counter these asanas. This asana, it can be tricky if you push yourself too much. So be really careful in understanding what your limit is. It's called Ushtrasana. Since we've been doing so many forward bends, we're just going to do a back bend, not a complete back bend, just enough of a back bend to stretch all these muscles out. This will give your abdomen also a good stretch. So you can either come, your toes can be tucked in like this, which is fine. If you think this is easy, try it like this first. If you think this is easy, then you can maybe put the front of your feet down. Key things to remember, there'll be a tendency to go back like this. That's not the idea. The idea is to push forward like this. So the bend has to be here. So what you're going to do is place this portion of your hands on your hip bone, the one that shakes. You place that here. And you would bend, initially go back a little, like that. place your hands. I'll demonstrate it once, then we can do it. Place your hands on your heels and then push forward. And the neck goes behind. If this is easy, you can put your knees down. Again, hands on the hips. Move back. Hands on the heels. Push your trunk out. Go back. And exhale and come forward. Okay, so let's try this once. Okay, come. So your legs will be about hip width apart. Okay, as we're sitting. So either here or here. You decide what works for your body. Do not hurt yourself. Hands on the waist. Move back. Hands on the heels. Now push forward. And go back. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale and come. Okay. So those were my diabetes specific movements that I wanted to take you through today. Just before we start chatting, if you want, we can do a quick, maybe you want to do like Shavasana for a minute or just like a meditation for 2 minutes? Okay, let's do like pranayama just to close down. Yeah. So
yes.
Let's do Anulom Vilom. So bend your forefinger and your middle finger. This is Nastika Mudra or Pranava Mudra. It doesn't matter what you call it. You don't even have to do this. You can just use this finger and this finger, and that's fine. Whatever is comfortable. You're going to be blocking your right nostril with your thumb. So place it here. You don't need to pressurize it. It's just a light press that stops the flow. Okay, so you place it here. You will breathe out through the left nostril, in through the left nostril. Then you'll block your left nostril and breathe out through the right nostril and in through the right nostril. Then you block your right nostril, out through the left, in through the left. Okay. So we always start with the left and we end with the left. Okay. So let's start. Thumb blocks the right nostril. Breathe out and breathe in. You can keep your eyes closed and focus on the breath. Block your left nostril. Breathe out through the right. In through the right. Block your right nostril. Breathe out through the left. In through the left. Now you can continue on your own. And when you're done with 3 more rounds, finish as you exhale from the left nostril. And just keep your eyes closed and stay focused on your breath. Just notice the breath. Notice if it's hot or cold. Notice if it's a different temperature when you're breathing in, and if it's a different temperature when you're breathing out. Notice where it comes in from. Follow it from your nostril tip all the way inside your body. And follow it out of your body all the way to the nostril tip. And just stay with it. Try to control it. Just watch it. Is it fast? Is it slow? Is it continuous? Is there a gap between inhale and exhale? Watch the breath. There might be noises distracting you. There might be thoughts distracting you. That's okay. Bring your attention back to the breath. And continue to breathe in and out. Notice if one nostril is breathing more heavily than the other nostril. You don't need to fix it. You just need to watch it. Or are both your nostrils breathing equally? Keep following your breath in and your breath out. Notice if your breath has slowed down. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. And continue to breathe normally. Take another deep breath in. And deep breath out. Now as you breathe in all the love in the universe. Breathe in gratitude for this practice. Breathe in gratitude for this life. And as you breathe out, breathe the same love and gratitude into everything around you. Be one with this love. Notice that this love inside you is one with this love outside you. And notice that you always have a choice to return to this love. Take a deep breath in. As you exhale, gently rub your palms and cup them over your eyes. Whenever you're ready, with a gentle smile on your face, open your eyes. Good.
Good one.
So I
So,
think, yeah.
Nandita, on behalf of, all the participants, I'm going to just initiate a couple of questions, and then we can have a round of discussion, or, whoever else wants to actually share their thoughts, or, want to ask a question, they can. One question, when we are saying that diabetes specific asanas,
Hmm.
okay, or when we are talking about these asanas will help, okay, what does it mean, or how do we contextualize it in our practice? Because I feel, in Yoga Sutras, there is one very important Yoga Sutra on Abhyasa and Vairagya, right? So these certain asanas are good for certain aspects, right? The most lazy thing that happens, okay, from us is that we know that this works for this, but getting it into the abhyasa, okay. So the hurdles that we usually would face during the abhyasa,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
thoughts on that?
Thoughts on that? Yeah. Actually, so the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, for everybody who might not be familiar with them, that's the original first codified version of yoga, so to say. And their sutras, it's it's their aphorisms that are sort of beaded together, and kind of they explain the ultimate aim of yoga and how you can get there. And the aim of yoga, as Patanjali talks about, is samadhi, or that, in some sense, enlightenment, or we don't need to go there. But he talks about the path to getting there is through he says yoga's chitta vritti nirodha, which is yoga is the cessation of all your mind stuff. And that is really the aim of yoga. Without realizing, a yogic practitioner will guide you to reach the same. Now, coming to your point of Abhyasa and Vairagya, Patanjali brings in Abhyasa and Vairagya when he says, what is Abhyasa and Vairagya needed for? It is to remove all these vrittis that are present in our chitta, in our mind, all these modifications. So I feel like when you understand what this Abhyasa and Vairagya is doing, when you do your practice with an intention, then automatically cultivating all these practices happens more easily. So, like, if I keep an aim that, oh, I want to be healthy, but it's not a very specific intention. It's like, oh, it's okay if I'm not healthy, or it's okay if I don't do this asana today, or it's if I don't do that asana. But the minute I say, okay, no, like maybe say I have a blood sugar problem, or I say that my mind, I do not have peace of mind. So, what is at stake if I don't do these asanas? My peace of mind is at stake. A better life is at stake, you know just the best
Yeah,
version of myself that I can be is at stake. And
yeah,
so then it comes to choosing, like, will my mind, like, mind over matter.
yeah, yeah.
So I think
And I would,
for me, I think that is how I inculcate, like, it helps me stay up with my practices, uh, because I also have this battle every morning, because I have my meditation and my asanas to do, and my practices are like long. And so for me, it's very easy, especially, at an ashram, you're staying, you're getting up at 4 o'clock every morning, it's fine. But the minute you come back into the real world and you're like, oh, I have a job, I have this to do, I have that to do, like, is this important? Is that important? If you just take a second, not saying you, but like me, everyone, to take a second to notice the impact that, 5 minutes of meditation will have, or doing this asana will have during the day, a stabilized blood sugar, stabilized mind. I think it just changes the intention of the practice. So today,
yeah,
actually, I did not cover, like, I would have done a total like 1.5 hour session, but I didn't want to push it too much, and I wanted to give the basics of everything. But if you're looking specifically at asanas for diabetes, I would encourage you to look up any forward bend. So Paschimottanasana that we did, Janu Shirsasana, Mandukasana, Trikonasana. Uh, Also, a lot of back bends stretch out the front of your abdomen. So also look those up. It might be helpful. There's also a whole Sarvangasana series, which is excellent for thyroid, but Sarvangasana in general is very good for just all your hormones. So
Right.
even the Sarvangasana series, Sarvangasana, I won't not teach it online because like it's dangerous. Like even Trikonasana, I find even though it's an easier asana, I find it, or Ustrasana, it's still tricky to teach online because there are so many levels of mistakes you can make. But if you want to like look it up yourself, and if you have somebody nearby who can help you, or you just want to start practicing it, and even the Pavan Muktasana series, especially for women. So like anything in the abdominal area, in the pelvic area, releasing that kind of stuff. And a lot of our emotions are also stored in the pelvic area. So you'll notice that with the Pavan Muktasana series, which is like a butterfly, half butterfly, full butterfly, leg rotations, hip openers. So, and also excellent for digestion. So,
Right. So in that context, I feel there is another sutra that I would like to cite, and that is, all of these diseases or illnesses come with its own dukkha, right? And come with its own dukkha, I am saying, right? So one of the sutras says, Heyam dukkham anagatam. Now, I've cited this before also. Anagatam is something that is yet to come, or something that has not come till now, right? But when we are actually delaying something, okay, it is creating more dukkha. So with exercise and abhyasa also, I feel that not tomorrow but today, for the reason because if not today, never.
Absolutely.
Okay. And if not now, never. That is the kind of urgency. So in most of the teachers, I have seen that there is such a great insisting nature of trying to push you to practice, is for the same reason that if not now, never. Okay. And heyam is, it is possible to avoid the dukkha that is yet to come. With yoga abhyasa, it is possible. So I always feel that time becomes a problem, time becomes a pressure, okay, or space becomes a pressure. My mat, I don't find my mat, how do I practice? So there are 10 hurdles that are also explained in sutras. In one of these sessions, we will focus on these sutras that just focus on what are the hurdles, how ahankara is a hurdle. So different hurdles in practice, but that is where the masters will push you for the practice, for the reason that let's try to avoid the dukkha that is yet to come, right?
And actually,
And that
to
is
add to
where the
sorry,
abhyasa. Yeah.
just to add to that also, I think like this works on the mind also. Like without you realizing it, you think you're working on the body, just on your body, but like the Taittiriya Upanishad also explains like the 5 koshas of the body. And so you start with your external body, your Annamay kosha, then it goes to your Pranamay kosha, Manomay kosha. So your pranayama practices are working on the prana. Your Manomay kosha, we don't realize, but when we talk about disease actually, disease as we know it is called vyadhi in Sanskrit. Vyadhi is like bodily, outwardly disease. But most diseases, especially diseases that are not caused by like say accident or something like that, most diseases start in the Manomay kosha as adhi. So that is the source of all disease. So when you're actually doing your yogasanas are working on all the levels of your on all your koshas. So even your Manomay kosha is getting modified. So the diseases that are starting, like we can say, like heart disease or diabetes, like how are these related to Manomay kosha? They are. And actually, there's a lot of like, even in modern science, if you look at research, we tend to think with the cerebral cortex, like this thinking brain, but there's a much deeper, smaller, more primal part of the brain, our reptilian brain, which stores all our traumas or our psychological distresses, and you can't reach that through logical thinking. But asanas, movement, martial arts, yoga asanas, African dances, any kind of like intentional movement is very effective in reaching those centers. So you're actually working on like a lot of psychological trauma, a lot of your mental root of your disease through these movements. And so I think that's another way it links to what Patanjali says about you can avoid future disaster by future dukkha by dealing with, what is there right now. And when he talks about abhyasa, he also says nirantar abhyasa. It's not abhyasa. He says it's nirantar abhyasa. So it's continuous practice and do it with devotion, do it like incrementally. Like you don't have to go and do all these asanas every day. Start with one asana 3 times a week, but build on it. Like you shouldn't come crashing down, because that is also a hurdle, coming crashing down. All of the so,
and I think in amongst our amongst our group, Nandita, we have examples like this. Kedarji, irrespective of his elbow injury, would participate in each of the sessions and do, with the 3 limbs what he can. He will, not push it, but still, handle it the way. And then Abhyasa comes with, Nanduji filling up the end of the day summary every day.
wow.
Okay. And end of day summary. So Rudrakshi had told me that, we should declare this championship today in today's SmithFit live session, because small things are abhyasa. The app or the platform that we are using, making a small note of what did I do today, may it be a mental note, or the app is actually helping the mind. It's training the mind that, okay, every night, am I doing it? Am I filling up? What did I do? Am I remembering and just keeping a note of it? So it's a mental note. Technically, it's a mental note. So end of day summary, and just filling that is making me aware for the day that I spent, the time that I'm filling it, and also the next day that I'm actually, doing something that I'm remembering what I did yesterday.
Good point, Anand.
Right?
Good point.
And in Marathi, we say Maranache Smarana Asave. Yeah.
No, go ahead. I was just saying that Nandu sir has been so consistent in the filling up of his EOD summary. So everywhere in the columns where there is recommendation, nowhere can I write the, fill it up according to what Smith has recommended. Now, nowhere. So everywhere I've written good going, well done. So I think he is kind of a champion in that sense, because he has set an example for us as to what can be done on an everyday basis just by filling up the EOD summary. And as Anand said very well, very rightly, that it helps him to improve the next day. And he has also achieved results because of this. So great going, Nandu sir. Thank you for setting such an amazing example. Claps to you.
I also think the fact that everybody shows up for these classes, consistently, there's, like just showing up here, or like just taking matters in your own hands. I think that also is a big step towards, like, just that first step, that will, I think everything else falls in place, but I think it's the will that's that biggest battle to fight. I think that's incredible that everybody's here and doing this stuff. And as a community, like holding each other accountable in a sense. That's pretty cool.